You ever get that feeling that you're kind of living in a world with invisible rules, like a system that's shaping your choices, your feelings, and even who you think you are, all without you really noticing? Well, today we're going to dig into that exact idea. And maybe, just maybe, we'll start to unplug. Now, this isn't just a classic line from a great sci-fi movie. It points to something pretty deep, and honestly, a little uncomfortable. The very system we're all born into, the one that tells us what's normal, can sometimes feel like it's working against who we truly are. It wants us to be a part of the whole, sure, but sometimes at the cost of our own wholeness. And that's the big question, isn't it? The question that's going to frame everything we talk about today. What if this whole matrix idea is the perfect metaphor for the cultural programming that starts the second we're born? What if the way things are is just a default setting, one that was programmed long before any of us showed up? Okay, so let's pull back the curtain on this. We're diving into our first section here to see how this is way more than just a metaphor. It's really a description of a psychological prison built from all the expectations swirling around us. So basically, this system kind of messes with our sense of who we are right from the start. It just bombards us with a constant stream of I shoulds, and those shoulds slowly start to drown out what we genuinely want. We get conditioned to follow a script, becoming actors in a play, and we never even realize we didn't write our own lines. And here's the emotional price tag for living by that script. It's this constant, low-humming anxiety. You know the feeling? It's that relentless pressure to look over your shoulder, to compare your life to everyone else's, to compete for validation, and to just keep striving for this feeling of worthiness that the system itself tells you is always just out of reach. But you gotta wonder, how is a system this powerful even built? And how does it keep going? I mean, it's not like there's a central control room with some guy pulling levers, so what are the mechanics behind it all? Well, there's actually a name for the process. It's called the cycle of socialization. It's the framework that explains how we inherit society's rules. You know, its values, its biases, its definitions of what success and failure look like. And most of the time, it happens without us even thinking about it. This slide just maps it out perfectly. First, we're born into it. Simple enough. Then, we're taught to conform. We get praised when we fit in, and we get corrected, gently or not so gently, when we step out of line. Over time, those outside rules become our own internal compass. And that leads to this huge moment, the choice. Do we keep the cycle going for the next generation, or do we find the courage to break free? And this quote, wow, it just nails the end result of that cycle. Our own unique self can get totally lost in the crowd. We become, just like Gustave Le Bon wrote, like grains of sand, just moved around by whatever way the wind of popular opinion is blowing, no longer anchored by our own sense of direction. Now, think about this common metaphor for a minute. Leadership, right? It sounds so nice, so protective, a wise shepherd watching over the flock. But if you look at that image just a little closer, a much darker question starts to pop up. And here it is. This is the hidden truth of that relationship. Whether it's for wool or for meat, the end game is consumption. The system isn't always designed for the flock's best interest, but for the shepherd's. It's a pretty sobering reminder that just going with the flow can come at a really, really high price. This idea of a system that consumes us brings us right to the deep, personal price we all pay for living inside it. What does all this pressure to conform actually do to our minds, to our spirits, to our well-being? Well, the effects are huge. Constantly trying to squeeze yourself into a mold that wasn't made for you creates chronic stress. It forces you to quiet your own inner voice, and it just chips away, piece by piece, at your self-esteem. It's like wearing a mask for so long that you start to forget what your own face even looks like underneath. And here is the sneakiest part of the whole thing. That pressure from the outside, it moves in. The system's judgmental voice becomes our own inner critic. You know, that constant little whisper that tells you you're too much for some people and not enough for others. We end up becoming the guards of our own prison. And in our modern world, this inner vulnerability gets totally weaponized. Social media platforms can put our need for approval on steroids, trapping us in what's called a viral cycle of social validation. We end up trading authentic little pieces of ourselves for likes and shares, just a fleeting hit of acceptance that leaves us craving more. So, all right, we've explored the prison, this huge, pervasive system of control. But what about the escape plan? How do we find the emergency exit? How do we actually unplug? The path forward, it seems, often starts with you alone. It's not about fighting the system head on. It's about having the quiet courage to just step away from the crowd, to stand apart from all the noise, and to start listening for a different voice, your own. The famous psychologist Carl Jung actually gave this incredible journey a name: individuation. He described it as the process of becoming who you were always meant to be, underneath all the social masks you have to wear and the roles society gives you. It's about discovering your own unique self. This slide just lays it out so clearly. You've got two paths in front of you. One is conformity. The goal is social acceptance, but the result, so often, is feeling totally cut off from yourself. The other is individuation. The goal there is psychological wholeness, and the results is true authenticity. It's really the difference between perfecting a mask and finally discovering your real face. But listen, this path isn't the easy way out. Jung makes it crystal clear that real freedom isn't about pretending everything's okay. It comes from the radical courage to actually face all of our experiences, the good, the bad, the joy, the pain, and weaving them together into a complete and authentic person. And that brings us to the final and honestly the most liberating part of this whole journey. The ultimate key to unplugging from the matrix isn't about tearing down the system. It's about completely transforming our relationship with ourselves. So how do we even begin this inner work? Well, here are 3 really powerful places to start. First, practice shifting your awareness from your head to your heart, from your ego to your spirit. Second, make some quiet space to actually listen to your intuition. And third, learn to notice and stop that frantic, overthinking mind that the matrix just loves to keep spinning. And this is the most important point of all. True freedom is an inside job. It shows up the moment you stop looking for validation from the outside world and you learn how to give it to yourself. When your own acceptance becomes the only one that really matters, the system starts to lose its power over you. So, we'll leave you with this one final thought. The matrix, this system of social conditioning, it will always, always demand that you conform. But your authentic self, the person you could be, it's asking for something much harder: your courage. So the question is, which voice will you choose to listen to?